Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. No one is joining me this week. No one. It's just me. It was originally going to be Tom, obviously, because you can see him down there. But now that's the representation we have him. He wasn't feeling great tonight, so no problem. We gave him the night off. He just had a rough day, and at the beginning of the day, thought he was fine, and then towards the end of the day, how it is. And we do allow sick days here at Warhammer Weekly Incorporated. So it's no problem. So it's just me hanging out with all of you, audience. And today we're going to talk about how to start AOS. That's what we're going to do. So this is going to be an audience participation episode. So please comment and chat as we get into it. I want to hear what you have to say because I'm basically going to be talking to all of you. So the more interaction, the better. But of course, first we got all the normal stuff. This is Vince reminding himself that he has to go get his little notebook. Yes, right. You are all the co-hosts today. That's exactly right. So I'm going to remind myself to get my little notebook so that I can timestamp stuff because that's what I do here. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a good week. It's been an extremely busy week for myself, as we'll talk about in hobby time. But of course, first, some news. So first off, it's a shame Tom's not here. It's so funny. He couldn't be here tonight. And this has to be the most interesting rumor engine in like a million years. Okay. Like that is some kind of wolf reindeer hind thing. It looks like it has a big stag horn coming back into the mix. Like it has, sort of weird horns on its back, but it also has like a wolfy tail. And like, I'm sorry, that just reeks of like something Kernothy more than anything else we've had in a long time. There's no way it's probably just like an Underworld's warband or something, or something of that nature. But man, that looks cool. I'm here for that. I just saw some kind of thing as I was scrolling through a social media like 10 minutes ago about some kind of weird infection in rabbits that makes them grow like weird little spines like this. So maybe it's very on theme. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's like the super coolest rumor engine. I want it to be Kernothy, but it's probably a pet. Yes, exactly. I think Shadling just said it. Probably someone's pet. Yes. It's probably like just a pet and not the cool nature monster that I want it to be. But like, man, that'd be great. I would love to see a Sylvaneth expansion with some Kernothy or just their own thing. That'd be fine too. Whatever. So I like the sort of Kurnoth thing, and the Kernothy thing has been sort of hinted at. It's like the Chaos Dwarves in that it's been around forever. We keep talking about it, but we never actually see more than little hints of it. So I don't know. That's fine. But yes, it's probably just some little pet that's on somebody else's little pet, which will be very disappointing. But here we are. Yeah, who had Cthulhu rabbits for August? Yes, the rabbit thing too as well, that I was talking about. Yeah, some kind of weird infection that makes rabbits like turn into monsters. So neat. What a world we live in. Something about the color. Well, it's hard to say. Like it could be any span of light colors. Like it could just be white and gray. And that would still look like that. You're right that it could be flames, like it could be a fire tail because there's a very dark thing, but reds don't, unless it's like really deep red, don't usually get that dark in the gray. It's hard to say. It's a little too bright for it to feel like fire, and it's not light just in the recesses, which is what I would expect for fire. It feels to me like if I was going to colorize it, it would be something in like whites and grays and browns, probably. So that's my read on it, but who knows? Exactly. Like a fox with antlers growing all over, which sounds cool. Droog says, I am coping for some Kernothy. Yeah, absolutely. Like, bring on the cope. Let's go. Cope, hope, whatever. I'll take all of it. I'll take all your opes. Anyways, yeah, this is like the best rumor engine in months because it's actually something interesting and makes me want to speculate about what this figure is. So good job, whoever took this photo. You did it. You got there. They're probably just teasing us with it being Kernothy, but here we are. Yeah, Copenhagen. Nice. Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna scoot that slightly. There we go. All right. Next up. Well, the 10 years of Warhammer Age of Sigmar celebration continues, as we all know. Such a big deal. It's in everybody's feed all day. We can't stop talking about it. It's the most like weak sauce celebration, but here we are. At any rate, there's a contest. There's a contest to win a bunch of Hell Smiths of Hashut or Chaos Dwarves. I really wish I understand why they're Hashut. Okay, like I know, I get it. I know who the god is. But man, I wish their name had like that they had renamed them or had a new god that started with T instead of H. Because like Ha isn't a good, acronym. But if they were like the Hellsmiths of like reverse the word like Tasu or something, that'd be awesome because then we could just abbreviate it to hot. And that would be so much more fun. But here we are. At any rate, all you have to do to win this is feed your information to GW so that they can spam you with offers and promotional information. Because you got to like go and send them your email for the newsletter, and then sign up to your Warhammer account and do all those things. And once you do all those things, then you're automatically entered. So there you go. And you have to like, then you have to play the battle. Sorry, then you have to download the battle plan, play the battle plan, and then on the app or whatever, there's a place where you can submit your results. Sorry, that's what you have to do to enter. I apologize. So, yeah, great, good. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. So I feel like I think a lot of people are going to fake it. Sure, they'll download the little thing and then just be like, "Yep, great. There, I won. It was a glorious victory for whoever, somebody." I thought the battle plan was great. Though I do appreciate them giving out more free battle plans. At any rate. But that's cool. You can get they're going to give away, I think, 10 of these or whatever of the Spearhead and the actual Hellsmiths and stuff like that. So there you go. Mark says, I've yet to play a game of AOS, but I've got a Spearhead's worth of Sylvaneth painted up, and I'm working on a Gloomspite Gets army now. Holy crap. That's a lot of painting you've got done for never having played. Good on you. Way to really stick to the guns of having a painted army. There you go. Aeronautical says, that's me. I'm the faker. Yeah, sure. I mean, you're not going to be alone, Aeronautical. Don't worry. Okay. Yes, the hash smiths. Absolutely. All right. At any rate, so this is the next thing. So great. Okay, cool. Nice of them, I guess. If we all collectively just give our data and do everything to their data harvesting enterprise, they can then you can have a small chance to win some stuff. So that's cool, I guess. I mean, what's your data worth these days? Realistically, not much. So that's fine. Seems a good trade. Mason King with the super chat saying Vince V, Warhammer Weekly, and grinding some EverQuest is the best way to wind down Wednesday. I just picked up your paints at my FLGS. They're great. Oh, it's awesome, Mason. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Like everything. I appreciate that all over the place. Appreciate the super chat and picking up the paints and watching the show. And what are you playing in EverQuest? That was like the one MMO I never could get into. I played Ultima Online for a long time and was like super into that. And then I played EverQuest like a little bit and just couldn't get into it. Didn't know anybody else playing. And then Dark Age of Camelot came out, and that was it for me. So there you go. But I've many friends. I've watched many hours of people playing EverQuest because one of my best friends who I hung out with all the time would just sit there and play EverQuest while we were hanging out all day. So, anyways, okay. Hades, any recommendations on brushes and some brush soap? Oh, Hades, we're going to talk about that when we get into the main topic, which is down below, which is how to start AOS, because we're going to talk hobby starting as well, for sure. So don't worry, we will get there. All right, continuing on with some new stuff. Of course, we've got our pre-order. So next I don't want to say, I don't know if it's the next 2 weeks or not, because like I think one of those next 2 weeks is Nova. So I don't know. But anyways, Flesh Eater Quartz goes on pre-order this Saturday. All the associated stuff you would expect, Spearhead and the book and all the cards and yada yada, as well as new Night Haunt, Ghosty Boys. So not obviously once they go on pre-order. Next week we'll do one of the two. I don't know which one yet. It'll depend on sort of what guests are available when, so we can figure it out. And yeah, I will say the Night Haunt cover is it's one of the least bad. So that's pretty nice. He looks like a scary enough ghost. I thought that was okay. FEC cover, terrible. Great. Okay, good. We're back on brand. But anyways, so those both are going on pre-order Saturday. So stay tuned as the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on how Nova falls. I don't have my calendar right in front of me. But we'll be doing the full formal reviews on those. Okay. Let's see. So Tacticat says, I love that artwork. Yeah, I mean, I think Night Haunt is up there with like one of the best pieces of art we've got in this edition so far. It's not like great, but it's not bad. So that's a move in the right direction. And I appreciate it very much. It's like probably on the level with the Slaves of Darkness one. David Canty with the super chat saying, will you be playing at Nova or just attending? And from what you've seen so far, where would you put Chaos Dwarves on the painting tier you did with PH? Paint, brush, liquor, level up, slap chop, choke, or dragon. Okay, boy. Yeah. Yeah, with Warhammer in our ranking system we did. Okay, well first of all, they were the ones who created the tiers. I do just want to say that because you know that's true because they had like 5 tiers and I would never do 5 tiers. From what I've seen so far, I think they're a pretty complicated army to paint. Like, just honest answer. I do not think they are very new hobbyist friendly. They have, first of all, they're dwarves, so they're fairly small. And secondly, they have actually quite a lot of different finicky elements on them. So I think they're going to actually be a relatively tough paint job. So now they might be a good 3rd or 4th army or something like that. If you're more experienced hobbyist, I think they'll be rewarding. But I do think that they're going to be challenging. That's what I'll say. Not impossible. But there are armies like that. I think Lumineth falls in that category. I think they'll probably be on, that kind of a level. Cities. Some of the, especially the newer stuff for cities, the human stuff. That kind of thing. Probably a step above cities, honestly. If I had to kind of, put it in there. So they're probably an easy one to choke on. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Yes, we will talk about spearheads and all of that. Okay, great. Good. I dislike how the limited edition covers are not consistent in formatting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't explain how they think through any of that. Manzak, I can't defend any of their layout or design choices. So there you go. Daniel, not really. It's unfortunately we don't have a solo or co-op type of mode for it. It really is a singular game. That is to say, like it's like a singular play mode. You're gonna need somebody to play against. There's a couple of different battle plans they did over time that let you do like some solo stuff or things like that. But for the most part, no. It's a you and a friend. You need to. You gotta have 2. It takes 2 to tango for it. But that being said, check. Hit your local FLGS, something like that. I think the dog might be coming. In case you couldn't tell. Yes. Hello, dear. How you doing? It's really just the one dog. Everybody hit like for dogs. There you go. There's my dog. Everybody should hit like because my dog she has an ear infection. She had to go to the vet today and get her drops. But she's okay now. She'll be better. But yes, that's my dog right there. The one running around is my wife's dog and barking. The one who won't be quiet. I'm not saying she takes after you, dear. Not at all. I was just saying that one's your dog. I was just making a factual statement. Nothing more. Come here.
Aspen has a lot to say.
Yes, she does.
Very opinionated, and you're going to hear it.
That is very true. That is very true.
Back to you.
Okay.
Back to your...
I love you, dear.
I love you too. Come on.
All right. There you go. We got a dog. We got a dog visit. Okay. Bobby 3000 with the super chat. I'm still super new and have painted up an army of Stormcast, but have never played. But I'm very local to Nova. Worth coming out to see what's up. Bobby, it's 100% worth coming out to Nova. If that's close to you, you should absolutely come out. Like, Nova is just a really incredible fun time. Regardless, like, you don't have to play anything. By the way, in answer to the previous question, there was something that asked. Sorry, David. The first question was, at Nova, am I playing or just attending? I'm certainly not just attending. I can't just attend anything. Like, I'm teaching, I'm judging, I have like 10 things I'm doing. We're doing a talk at Adam about the podcast about Snarlcast and indie war games. So check that out. I think there's still a couple of tickets left actually for that room. I think we had 40 people, and I think I looked last week and there's still a couple seats left. So if anyone's interested, you can look that up. Just look up for my name or Adam's name. You'll find us. And then John and I are also doing a session as well, on, like, again, podcast and making videos and stuff like that, making painting videos. So both of those are there. Hope to see y'all at those sessions. And then some doing those, and judging Capital Palette, and a whole bunch of things. It'll be a very busy weekend. Sadly, busy enough that there is no chance that I would be able to play. So there you go. Please bring the Shalaxi shield to Nova. Oh, Martin, how I have let you down. He asked me for this like 4 months ago. And literally, here's the funny part, audience. It's right here. This thing Martin needs is sitting right here. I got it out. Here, Martin, I'm just going to give it to you. Ready? I'm just going to put it right through there. I've had it sitting next to me, and every day I'm like, I got to make sure I send this to Martin. And then every day I forget because I'm a bad friend. Martin, you're a great guy. I'm sorry that I forgot. I will bring it to Nova. That's fine. Shame you're not coming to NashCon. I'd give it to you this weekend. At any rate, so yeah, Nova's gonna be an awesome time. You should totally come just to check out Capital Palette. Just kind of do the stuff. So yeah, 100%. Okay. Stu, what army does your wife play? She has no interest in Warhammer unless you're asking somebody else. If you're asking somebody else up there, that's fine. I'm sorry if I'm jumping in on the question. But like, no, she does not play any kind of Warhammer and is not interested in any of this nerdery. She does not play Magic. She does not play D&D. She does not play any of that stuff. That is not her world. But she is perfectly supportive of me doing it. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, if Vince Willy Wonka the shield through the screen right now. Yeah, exactly. It's like Mike TV. All right. Well, David, Martin got you on the right track. Look, there's nothing wrong with Old World 2. I play some Old World. It's good. Both are fun. So there you go. All right. Enough. So we're done with the news. News over. Let's talk about some pick of the week. Okay. Just time stamping here. All right. Okay. So pick of the week. Yeah, I don't have anybody else to go first this time. I normally like to put this on the guests and like throw this at them to make sure. So what I'm going to say is, first off, general self-plug. This week we had new episode of Snarlcast and a new episode of Fireball the Gazebo out. Snarlcast, as I mentioned before, is my podcast with Uncle Adam, talking about indie RPGs. We talked about why wargaming at Gen Con is in such a bad state. And JP Got Rockets and a couple of people weighed in on it with some very insightful commentary. And the Fireball the Gazebo this week is all about the modern state of RPGs through the lens of Gen Con and what I saw there and stuff like that. Okay, so check both of those out. New episodes this week. They're both linked down in the description. Good time. Okay. But I wanted to turn everybody on to our old friend we haven't talked to in a while. We haven't had him on in a while, but we got to shout him out. The Mortal Realms. They had a Dogs of Warcry talk about Warcry terrain. I thought it was a really fun talk. It's very long, but it's a very fun time. Mortal Realms guys are great. And they were talking about just Warcry terrain in general. And like, I thought it was sort of a very fun conversation. So I will link that down below. Go check out the Mortal Realms. They're fun, especially if you like the narrative side of AOS. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, general self-plug, don't get an MRI. Absolutely. I appreciate the Rollmaster reference on Fireball the Gazebo. Scott B, I'm glad you did. You know, when I was at, quick other story for you, Scott B, since it's just me here, so I can just tell stories. When I was at Gen Con, I went to the booth. I went to one of the booths. I stopped in. Like I said, I was going around asking people about their RPGs. Basically, tell me about your game. And I went up to the booth that had HARP, HARP, and I had like heard about it before, but I never really looked too deeply into it. And I asked him about it, and they kind of talked through the story or the game and the idea of the thing and what it was. And he said, "Yeah, basically what it is we like because we also have Rollmaster." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, okay." And he's like, basically what it is we took Rollmaster and we took the tables out of it." And I walked away and I was like, "Why would you do that? That was your whole thing. Why would you get rid of the thing that made your game the thing? Like, if it's popular or not, it was unique. It was a principle that differentiated you." So, anyways, I thought that was very funny. But okay, just some dude with the super chat since in real life rats giggle when they are tickled. Neat. Do you think it would be possible to tickle a vermin lord and live? Yeah, sure. Who are you? I mean, depends how powerful you are. Like, do you mean for me as a normal human? Just like Vince as he exists right now in this world? No. Clearly a vermin lord would ice me instantaneously, even if I could somehow sneak up and tickle him. I think just like the sheer sight of him would cause me to die in terror, because that's kind of how they're portrayed in the story when they meet like normal people. But if I was like Bastion Carthalos or something, yeah, probably he could get away with it. He's tough enough. You know, he could get up there and get some tickling on. So I think it's just a question of who you are. That's what I'll say. Crazy Horse, I've been enjoying Fireball the Gazebo. Thank you very much, Crazy Horse. I appreciate that. Anthony is my personal hero, so I'm glad you're doing well. Glad you're enjoying Fireball the Gazebo. Okay. Scott B says, need to have a binder for your character with all your weapon charts and crit tables. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So with pick of the week done, let's move on to some hobby time. Boy, oh boy, it's been a crazy week. Look, NashCon is this coming weekend. I sadly did not have my army in the state that I wanted to because of everything else that's been going on, and I had Gen Con and blah, 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 blah. So I've been in a bit of a hurry up mode, but I'm happy to say that tonight, just before the show, I finished everything up. So the last pieces where I had some rat ogres to do. So there's my little, I'm using some old school rat ogres in my amongst my all my rat ogres. So here's three of my three classic ones mixed in. They're all done and based and ready to go. Everybody's all magnetized and all set, ready to rock. So got all the base rims blacked out and everybody glued down and all that stuff. So it's been a very intense hobby week of just like rushing because I had to get the 6 of them done, plus a master molder and stuff like that. And, you know, these guys take a long time. So there you go. At any rate, so that's been my hobby time, was really focusing on it. What's the list? What's the list? Hold on. I had it sitting back here. I printed it out to take with me. Let's see. It is Skaven. We are in Gathering of the Clans as the formation. That's the one that lets you redeploy a whole bunch. Our battle tactics are Intercept and Recover and Attune to Gairan. We're using the Lore of Ruin and the Manifestations of Doom. Doom. Really, we're just using the bell. Just the Bell of Dom. You know, there you go. Hades says, I tried to super chat, but it wouldn't let me for some reason. What is this injustice? I have no idea why, Hades. That shouldn't happen. Okay, then we've got a Verminlord Warp Seer. That's the one that throws the ball around, but lets you move farther on your 3 claw steps until you throw the ball. And then a Claw Lord in there with 6 Rat Ogres, a Brood Terror, and a Doom Wheel. Then in our second regiment, we have a Grey Seer who's got a Master Molder and 2 Doom Flayers. Then we've got a Death Master with the Warpstone Charm. Then we've got a Master Molder who's got Devious Underling. That's the one where you're trying to you pick another hero and get it killed. And like you get a 6-up ward until they're dead, and then you get +2 to charge. And then he's got 6 Rat Ogres rocking with him. And then we got 2 more Death Masters. So there you go. That's my list. Comes in at 1990 of 2000. And it is 6 drops. I will be giving people, I'm using an auxiliary, 1 auxiliary. That's right. I will be giving people a command point for 1 stupid auxiliary. Why am I doing that? Because I didn't have time to convert 2 additional Doom Flayers as I originally intended to. So there we go. That was it. I ran out of time. And I was like, well, my shortcoming in time is your gain, opponent. Now, this is actually a 2-list format, but the other list is basically the same thing. I just switched around some magic items. Yeah, no plague clause. I like plague clause, but I don't have one painted to the new army standards. That's the issue. Optimistic critic. Like everything I'm taking, I'm not just taking random Skaven. I'm taking only my new stuff that I've painted and that is like up to the standards, right? So I originally had the list built at 2000 exactly with like a 4 thing of Doom Flayers, but I only have 2 Doom Flayers done, and that was it. So I was just like, well, I have another Deathmaster. No soggy bell. Nope, no bell. It's like, again, I don't have a Screaming Bell done to my current standards. So like I can only use the stuff that I've repainted. That's all stuff that I've like painted as part of the new army. So there you go. I love the bells. I use them in my home games. I'm not going to take it to a tournament. And like, I love the bell. I honestly wouldn't put a bell on this list anyways. It's not the point of this list. I have a different list that contains a bell. Really, literally the only change I would make is I would have had the 2 additional Doom Flayers in there. But there you go. Audio. That list is 7 drops because you have 1 extra for my jaw. Oh, thanks, buddy. Hades Death God says, my pick of the week is Real Gary V, emerging lore channel with a casually explained style. Super cool. Real Gary V. Okay, I'll check it out. Very nice, Hades. All right. A Molder list went 4-1 at our local GT. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not actually using the Molder subfaction. I'm using the Gathering of the Clans. I just think it's better. The advantage here with this one is all the 3 little Death Masters can run around and do quite a lot of things. They're pretty devious in what they can actually accomplish in like pinning things down or breaking things up and not dying. I have got a lot of different movement capabilities. Like it's very hard to pin me down between being able to 3 claw steps away, like quite a long distance, and then being able to like triple redeploy constantly. So, and then the Rat Ogres are there to actually hit, and I can restore them if they die. Like I can bring back half of the unit and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of little pieces. It's kind of a fiddly play experience, but I really like it. So there you go. That's the list. Okay. Anywhere to see the new paint standard? I mean, yeah, like I've done a bunch of videos with them. So if you just go back in the hobby cheating playlist, you'll see some of the new stuff that's in there. There you go. Okay. Is it because the old painting is bad or because you've evolved a lot more since then as a painter? I mean, keep in mind that Skaven, like my existing Skaven army, which is like back here right off camera, like in some shelves that are like right there. The key with that is like it was painted over years and years, right? Like when I sold off my metal army to replace them with plastic. So there's stuff in there that's just straight up bad, and there's stuff in there that's just not as good, but it's not coherent or consistent. It was like that army was painted over more than a decade, right? So probably even more than that, honestly, probably like 15, 16 years. How many Vermin Lords do I have? Not many. 3, I think. I don't actually have a lot of Vermin Lords because it was sort of a newer thing. Most of my stuff is like things that would have been around pre-end times because a lot of that army collection was there. I mean, I have like 7 Claw Lords and 6 Death Masters, and I don't know. I like all the little weird heroes and stuff. I have 150 original Clan Rats and then 20 new ones or something like that. 40 new ones, 20 new ones. I don't know. Some number of new ones. So there you go. So yeah, I mean, like I want a coherent experience. The Death Masters all look kind of different. They all have some visual element that ties them into the broader army, but they're intentionally somewhat different because they're meant to be hired assassins, right? So I didn't want them to look like the rest of the army. Do I think a full Verminous list is viable? 160 Clan Rats, 40 Storm Fiends, Crit out Grayseer. I think it's casual AOS at best. Yeah, I think it's super cash. That kind of they're just gonna die in bucket loads. I don't think it does very good on the current scenarios. And I don't think I think things will just smash it off the table. But I think it's super fun. So nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think you don't mean Storm Fiends, you mean Storm Vermin, but nonetheless. But like, I just think Storm Vermin are bad, is what it comes down to. So the Clan Rats are fine. They'll actually do the most work for you. Okay. For the old gamers of questionable eyesight, do you have any recommendations on the magnifying visors? Sure. Like, I mean, I just use these. It's like a little thing you get from Amazon. It's just this little thing, right? Boop. Just that. It comes with different lenses. They're, you can pop these out, put a different magnification in. It's super easy. This is from Yakta Sun. I'm sure that's a real brand and not just some Chinese thing, but that's all. Okay. Master Oriole, did my super chat fail to go through? No, I'm sorry, Master Oriole. I just got lost. I got scrolled off. Now I'm back to it, though. Thank you for saying something. Master Oriole, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Vizek is viable right now? Also, will we see the Vizek painting vid anytime soon? Not soon, but you will see it. I'm going to do a fun hit on John with it, as I'm going to equal John's 500-hour paint job as near as you can tell. I'm going to do it in a weekend, like is going to be the point of the video. But anyways, so that'll be a very fun thing to knock him around. It'll probably be later in the year. I have to get on the other side of like NashCon and Nova and all these commitments. I also had to, by the way, finish writing like 2 different books in the last month. So that was a fun time. But at any rate, do I think he's viable? Not really. I think he's just too fragile and too expensive for what he does. That's just it. I don't think he really brings enough to the table. I think there's probably a list if you're like a very good player with him messing around with a sort of prayers and the mortal thing, the mortal damage thing. But I think it's really a stretch. He's so easy to accidentally lift is the problem for how expensive he is. The only reason I like the other two, the only two Vermin Lords I actually like are the Warp Seer because he's so cheap, and the what am I thinking? Sorry. The Eshin one, because he's like a straight killer. Like that guy's actually worth his points, right? So yeah, there you go. No, John is viable. That's definitely not. Did you have a Stormcast Skaven army, or did I make that up in my head? No, I have Ratcast. It's real. Yeah, that's a army. I played it a couple years back or whatever. Yes, I have Ratcast led by Skig. So that is correct. Yes, the Deceiver. Thank you, everybody. His name would not come to my head. At any rate, the Deceiver's amazing because you can like tool him up like crazy and just, he always gets to pick his fights effectively. So he either straight murders whatever he's fighting or leaves. And so it's pretty great. So there you go. But that's the list. Boy, we really went on a Skaven run here. Okay. All right. That was kind of hobby time there, I guess, as well. That was all my hobby time. Okay. Folks, we should get to the main topic tonight. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who's super chatting. As we transition into the main topic, hey, keep those super chats a-rolling. Keep the likes, the subscriptions. I appreciate you all being here to support me. When I'm rolling solo tonight, it's awesome. Thank you for all the good conversation and comments and everything. So that's great. Okay. Screech is actually pretty good if you do the mech rat approach where you give him run in charge with Deathmaster and use some of his abilities when they matter. I agree. I've seen a couple of good lists with Screech where they do pretty decent. So I don't tend to like him. He's not the kind of guy I like. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry, I didn't notice my dog came back down. Hi. Did you come back down? Okay. You want to get up here? You get up there. Go ahead. Just my dog came down. Go ahead. Come on. Get up here. Nope. She's walking away. There she is. You can kind of see her back there for a second. Hi, Lyra. Okay. Anyways, let's talk about starting AOS. So I broke this into 3 categories. Okay. So we're going to talk about hobby stuff and like getting started hobby wise. Then we're going to talk about spearhead and like actually collecting, like how to start collecting. And then we're going to talk about what armies are good for it. Okay. So there you go. If your dog was a god beast, what would she be? She would be very stubborn. That is definitely whatever god, some kind of god beast of stubbornness. That is for sure. I'm sure the dwarves would love her, because she is of her own mind and does not much care what other dogs or humans or beings in the universe have to say about it. So there you go. She's kind of just on her own level. Aren't you? Yes. She has an ear infection right now, so but at any rate. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's jump in. Let's talk about hobby. So I wanted to cover this as well because I think sometimes we skip this part when we're talking about starting, but the reality is some people who are starting out with AOS are also starting out with the hobby in general. And I just thought it would be okay, so hold on real quick. Quoll said the god beast of no take, only throw. I'm gonna share a video of that dog at some point on Twitter or Instagram or something. It is the cutest thing in the universe because she has no problem with giving. She gives the ball all the time. She's very good at that, actually. But she only does it when gravity comes in. So she likes to run up to the top of stairs and then drop the ball down. And then she just sits there and stares at you until you throw the ball back to her. And then she takes the ball and chews it a few times and then lays down and then nudges the ball back to you. And so it bounces down the stairs. She likes watching gravity. She has to test it constantly. Anyways. Okay. So, hobby. Let's talk about starting paint sets. There's a lot of starting paint sets out there. I'm going to kind of wrap up speed paints in this as well. And by the way, if I have people in the audience, like I said, this is you and I chatting right now. So if you've got opinions on this, let your voice be heard, right? But basic idea is, what kind of starting paint sets are out there? My main take right now is you've got 3 main brands that I think are all quite good in normal paints, things that I like, and things that I think are good for newer painters. So the sort of three main brands would be Monument, Pro Acryl, Army Painter Fanatic, the new line, and then AK 3rd Gen. That's usually what's on my table. I think all 3 brands make great paints. I think they're really solid. I've been playing with the new P3 stuff as well. And so I think that will probably jump into the list. All of them have some kind of different starting paint set. Okay. So all of those brands have some kind of starting paint sets that usually aren't the whole thing. My biggest piece of advice when it comes to like getting your paints, and this is true by the by, if you're like getting into a new line for the first time, or if you're like just starting out in general, which is, I think you're absolutely insane, Martin. Martin, I want to reteach you without those Garbo paints. I really do. I hate them so much, but that's a different story. You and I can talk about that at Nova, perhaps. Okay. So, at any rate, my strongest advice possible is do not ever buy on your first paint set buy or your first exploration with a brand. Go out and get like whatever their every paint in the range, buy the whole crazy thing set is. Do not do that. Do not buy the like 250 paint set or whatever, or 500 paint set or anything like that. No, I don't mention Citadel, Damien, because I think Citadel makes bad paints. That's pretty easy. I think the pots are bad. I think their paints are bad as far as their actual matte paints go. So That's it. That's pretty simple. Now, things like their washes or some of their technical paints and stuff like that, and potentially even contrast, sure, no problem there. I think those are all actually good products from Citadel. But yeah, like my best advice is start with a smaller subset of the paints, because all three of those paint ranges and the new P3 that I've been experimenting around with, I've got one here on my desk right now. So here's been playing around with, which one's this one? Devout White. There you go. Just trying out a couple different ones. But anyway, the like all of them when it comes to standard paints have differences. Like how thick they are, how hydrophilic they are. They're going to perform differently based on your local humidity, how wet your wet palette is, how you like to paint, what's your actual approach and stuff like that. So, you know, like the reality is there is no perfect paint set, but there might be a perfect paint set for you. Okay. So my best advice is get a smaller subset, you know, some starting set that has like 10 or 20 or 30 paints in it or whatever. I don't know, something like that, something reasonable. And use them and see how you like them. Do you like the experience? Are you able to work with them and using whatever style you like to paint it with? Is that kind of thing. Audio says, I've heard an insane rumor and it fully can't be true that paints can, and is this true, be mixed to create different colors? I know. Audio, the rumors are in fact true. They are in fact true. Yeah, that's just it. Like, but at the same time, if you're just starting out, especially in the hobby audio, like learning paint mixing and getting exact colors can be challenging. So I don't want to layer too much on people when they're just starting out. That can be a little rough, right? But at any rate, you know, right now around me, I think at my last count, I had like 1,400 paints on the wall around me. That's probably excessive. Like you can't see any of them, but they're all here. You see them in the background of the shot if you watch Hobby Cheating, right? But like if you are a paint mixer, if you have a background in like canvas art or traditional 2D art, and you're comfortable mixing paint, then yeah, you can really shave it down. Somebody like Ben Cantor, who's won, you know, a couple of Golden Demons and Crystal Brush, a great painter, good friend, good guy. You know, I think he owns like 7 or 8 paints he uses. So there you go. Like everything is a mix for him, right? So it's certainly doable. So there you go. Okay. So now speed paints. Let's talk about that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think they're very useful tools. I use actual speed paints like from Fnatic and contrast paints pretty regularly. I don't usually use them for their like on-label use. I like that is to say I don't usually quote unquote slap chop things, though occasionally there's call for that. I usually use them through an airbrush or as very thin glazes and filters, so I have more advanced purposes with them, but they're good. And there's nothing wrong with them. Like if you find that to be a fast method of painting, then yeah, I say go for it, right? Like, okay. Like it's a perfectly viable methodology. So yeah, I mean, like, I just think they alone are going to have a pretty, if you're just using them as a traditional slap chop, then you're using them purely for speed. And that's fine. But they have a pretty low ceiling on the quality you can achieve unless you then integrate other paints into the line and or start doing more complicated techniques, something like what Juan Hidalgo does, right? He's not just like straight slap chopping stuff, obviously. He's using contrast paints in a much different way. So like you can use them and increase the ceiling dramatically. But in the end, you're going to have to get much more creative and integrate more traditional techniques, right? Tacticat says, my friend who is a canvas painter only used like 4 paints to do his entire army of GSC. I think he's actually a wizard in disguise. Yeah, I know exactly. That's right. 100%. Okay, so that's kind of my feeling on the paint stuff. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. Boop, 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 boop. Yep, looks good. Okay. My sickness says my son started the hobby at 13 and eclipsed my painting ability in a month or 2. All right, kid's got talent. All right. What about brushes? Hey, brushes. Okay, sure. Well, we can talk brushes. Well, you're going to need primarily, like, really, you need at least 3 distinct brushes. Okay. So on the brush category, you're going to need 3 distinct brushes. Distinct brush number 1 is some kind of dry brush. This is an essential tool, especially starting out and frankly throughout your entire painting career. That video on doing high-level dry brushing will be coming sometime in the fall. And that's number 1. Number 2 is you need some kind of synthetic brush, probably a pack of them of varying sizes. Bigger is usually better. These are good for base coats, for applying washes, for doing things with your brush that are going to ruin your nice brush. Okay, so a good synthetic will go a long way. I order them in big packs off of Amazon. You can find like the link down below for the pack I use. I'm pretty sure I have it linked down in the description. And I love them. I use my synthetics all the time, especially for like base coats and wet blends and stuff like that. And then lastly, you need a good sable brush, right? So I prefer Raphael's, but again, you can season to taste. They're more expensive. You're generally paying, $13 to $20 for a brush. It seems like a lot of money. It's not in the long run for the work you get out of it. If you treat it well, it'll last you 6 months, a year, 18 months, depending on how often you use it, longer. That is to say, if you keep it clean and don't abuse it by putting don't use it for things like washes and contrast paints and metallics, stuff like that. You use it for what it's meant for. Fine detail work, applying highlights, very careful glazes, doing detail edges, things like that. Okay. So that's it. Those are the core 3 you need, right? Now, over time, you're going to your sable brush will die, your synthetic brushes will wear out, stuff like that. And so you can those will just become your junk brushes, and then you'll have like a junk brush, and that's good. Junk brushes are very important. I have 2 different sable brushes here I'm using as I'm painting. One, the tip is just like completely gone, and it's roundy and garbo, but I use it for like base coating in more controlled ways when I don't want to use the synthetic. The other one is my detail brush, stuff like that. Keeping your brushes clean is a thing that I think a lot of people mix or forget about. So here's a couple hot tips for you. Number 1, in your paint water, okay? I'm not going to be able to tip this far enough that you're going to be able to see without me. There it is. You can kind of see the bubbles back there. That's because I keep like a drop of dish soap or surfactant, effectively, flow improver or something like that, in my paint water, so that way it helps break up the paint. It also is nice because then when you're thinning your paints out, they naturally have a little more flow to them. Cause says I've been using the same sable brushes every day for 2 years. That's bad. No, that's great. That means you take good care of them, Cause. So yeah, good. Nothing wrong with that at all. So like having a little bit of effectively soap or something like that in your rinse water is very good. Like that will help get the paint out of your brush. You don't want anything in the brush. Paint in the ferrule of your brush is what causes it to split and act weird. That happens because you didn't properly get all of the paint out of the brush, and or you sat there and painted with it for too long. The next thing is, getting some brush soap. Master soap is fine. Monument Hobbies makes Jen's fantastic brush goop. Both fine. But you don't even need a fancy special brush cleaner like that. If in your house you have shampoo and conditioner, like that you use on your head, like for your hair, then you've got everything you need. You can clean your brushes with like the nice hair shampoo. It actually does a pretty good job of it. You're going to get the soap in there, work the bristles around, smooth, and then rinse. Then you put the conditioner in, kind of rinse it, take a little bit of that conditioner and just right up the brush with your fingertips. And like, there's a reason that makes your hair nice and soft and it restores the natural oils and stuff like that. Well, it's the same for your actual brushes. So you probably have the stuff you need right there. So there you go. Okay. Why did my chat over here disconnect? Why do I not see the same? I'm seeing two different chats. One moment, please. Hold on. Refreshing. It feels like my chat disconnected on what I'm watching. Are we going to load properly? Hey, there we go. Okay. All right. So let's see. A lot of shout outs for Sam Set and Adam Set from Monument. Absolutely. Boo, boo, boo. What about the size of the brush, for specifically like base coating versus detail? Sure, Andrew. So with your like you generally for your synthetics like 4, 6, 8 very large size brushes. For your sables, a 1, a 0, and a double aught. It's kind of the rules, something in that space. If you can only pick one sable, I would pick probably a size 1 with a good tip or a size 0 with a good tip. Depends on how precise you are and the size of what you're painting. Let's see. Yeah, Peppo, you want to avoid super glue on the sable brush, definitely. Let's see. Okay. Quick question. I absolutely baby my sable soap and acrylic paint only, and somehow the tips still go dull super quickly. The bristles don't split. They just don't form a sharp tip anymore. You can sometimes restore that with, like I said, like with conditioner, you can reshape them to some degree. But that being said, like, yeah, sometimes different sables have different durabilities. The tip, the few hairs that make up the tip will fall out or break because they are, you know, they're just very sensitive. So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, there you go. But it'll happen. I mean, like, you got to protect the tip. You know, it's important. Okay. Let's see. Do dances. There you go. Yes, I can see your chat now. I don't know why it stopped loading my chat. Like I realized over because I keep like my control panel screen is over here and it has the chat in it, but it's hard to read because I have to look over here like this, and that's not really great. Whereas this one's in my eye line more or less. And that one just stopped loading. Why? Who knows? Isn't technology fun? Okay. Let's see. So boop, 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 boop. If you're just starting out though, no one's going to look at your first paint job and say this would be amazing if you use a different paintbrush brand. Oh, for sure. Little Stinker says, how often should you be rinsing your brush? Often is the answer. Like pretty often. I don't know, once a minute at least. Like you should not be painting for a long time with any amount of paint. And you should be rinsing your brush frequently. Like if you're letting paint just sit there on the brush, that's an invite to it being damaged. Because if it dries in the brush, that is a good way to damage the brush. It's just that easy. So there you go. Okay. All right. Is there a way to prevent hooked tips, or is it something I am doing wrong? I notice my synthetic brushes tend to hook. Okay, let's talk about hook tips. Let's talk about the hook. Why is that happening? Why does a synthetic brush hook? Okay. So, a synthetic brush, this one right here, does not have any kind of hook tip. And why? Even though I've used it quite a bit. The reason is because as your brush dries, if there's any, as the liquid is there and it's drying at a different rate, okay, it is going to, like, as it evaporates, it's going to cause these things to shrink and bend, like the synthetic bristles to shrink and bend. That will get exacerbated if there's any kind of paint stuff in there, because then it will also hold the bristles in place and make them more solid. So the combination of paint detritus plus water evaporation leads to this tip situation. Okay. So how do you stop that? What's up, CJ? How you doing? Okay. How do you stop that? Well, when you rinse your synthetic brushes, number one is, yes, don't like rinse them in a soapy, brush water. And then just don't leave them like this very wet. Like I use mechanics towels and I make sure, like I run them along there and I make sure that they are quite dry. Okay. So I work as much water out of there as I can. That means there's less water evaporating. It's cleaner, so I don't have any detritus in there. And it's drier, so there's less to actually evaporate and cause that bend as it dries. Okay? So that's it. Now, in the long run, basically every synthetic brush, the very tip of it is going to curl just a little. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's just the nature of a synthetic brush. So there you go. Okay. So there you go. That's why it happens and how you can delay it. Avoiding it, probably not, but there you go. Paint is a tricky mistress. Arrested at Waffle House, absolutely. Yes, the mechanics towels are an absolute game changer. It's just 100% true. They absorb so much more, and they're so much better than the normal paper towels. It was a true life-changing moment for me to switch over. So there you go. What other tools are good? Well, if you're starting out in the hobby, you also need things like, some good clippers. Do not go out and buy some God hand nonsense. That's ridiculous. You do not need that. Ostensibly, you need 2 sets of clippers. I have these 2. I've used the same 2 for a long time. I have this set of clippers, which is just like some industrial thing. Whatever that I bought like at Home Depot or something, right? Like it's whatever. It's nothing. It's just like wire clippers. Okay. And this is what I use for heavy duty stuff. And then I have like this set of Tamiya things. This is a CS2 or something. I don't know. It was like the $20 Tamiya one. It's nice. It's very sharp. It meets flush. I use it for small clipping, detail, pulling off little things, stuff like that. Between the 2 of these, I can clip anything I need, basically. Okay. Fortune's Fool says, "Hold on, Vince. As an experienced modeler, I love my God hands." Look, man, I'm like, if you like them and you find value in it, that's fine. I'm telling new people they don't need to go out and spend $50 on some God hand clippers. They're not going to get the value out of them, and they will probably ruin them. Okay. So there you go. That would be my answer. Now, other sort of tools, some little sanding sticks. Talked about those before. These little thingies. You can buy them in bulk packs. They have different grits to them. They're very useful for getting rid of mold lines and other stuff like that very quickly. I just keep a couple near my painting desk. Reach over, sand down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. You need an X-Acto knife of some kind, obviously, for scraping. I use the medical thing. So this is just like I use a medical one. I ordered the base, this little handle. It's just like for a doctor's thing. You can buy it off Amazon, like medical supplies. And you can also get the size 11, because these are also medical, used for like just cutting into people's. And you can order big bulk medical supply knife blades for cheap as chips. I ordered a giant pack 8 years ago. I am almost halfway through that pack. So it's a good investment. And it was probably like $10. It's maybe a little more now. I don't know. But at any rate, the point is that like, don't look at them for like, don't go out and buy hobby scrapers and stuff like that. That's all nonsense. Okay. Just buy the generic stuff. I use this kind of thing and it's fine. The other one I use when I need something more heavy duty is, again, just like the hardware store thing. Right. There you go. Like a little box cuttery type slide action. You can replace the razor blade inside. Mine's actually pretty low, if you can see how much is left there. Broken off a lot over time. This is what I use for like heavy duty stuff, for like terrain, things like that, when I need to like scrape something serious. So there you go. Okay. And so, yeah, like, the important part is like, yeah, I totally use the scalpel thing. It's fine. Like, you don't need any special tools. Just be careful. As always, you're using a very sharp blade. My fingers and hands are calloused and all of that. Like, I've cut myself plenty of times over the years. I don't tend to do it too much anymore, but it happens. Just, if it happens, please properly treat the wound. Don't get it. I cut myself on my thumb real bad once years ago, working around the hobby. Didn't do anything about it. Just let it sit there, and then it got infected, and then I had to go get antibiotics, and that sucked. Well, I didn't die, though. That's nice. Nice to live in the modern world. Cause, what's the difference? Easier to control, in my estimation, and a heck of a lot cheaper. That's it. Just like a lot cheaper and more replaceable. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Isaac, if you found that like gripping the tiny brushes hurts, you can try a different grip, but also there's a couple of companies that make like triangular, like you mentioned that the triangular shape is more comfortable for your hand. There's a couple of companies that actually make like rubber grippy triangular brush holders that you can slide over your brush. Like it's like a little sock, if you want to think of it like that. Like it whoop, slides on, and it gives you a much fatter grip area. And you can like, it makes the brush holding much more comfortable if you have problems holding very tightly. Okay. So just a thing. You can look those up. I think a couple different companies make them, but there you go. Okay. All right. Any specific type of standing sticks? Nah. Generic. Again, I think I have some linked down in the description, but if not, just leave a comment for me afterward and I'll hit you up. Like just whatever bulk pack is, it really doesn't matter. You don't need anything special. Yeah, I will mangle my hands and you can't stop me. Sure, absolutely. And then finally, you know, like so like other tools, you got your little X-Acto, you got your little sanders. You need some glue. You don't need anything too special. If you're doing plastic models, good old fashioned Tamiya extra thin cement is always a good one. You can make sprue glue out of this. And that's going to cover you for most things you need. And then you need a little super glue as well. My preferred super glue is the Aquarium Co-op Super Gel Glue. I love this stuff. You can buy it in bulk. It's aquarium glue. It's meant to work underwater. It's extremely durable. Sets great. Love it. It's like my favorite glue. So Aquarium Co-op. So check them out. Not a sponsor, just a cool company that I think is doing neat stuff. So there you go. And yeah, to me, extra thin is like your go-to plastic glue. I have two bottles. I have one bottle that's the general glue and then one bottle that's the sprue glue that I made. Boop. There you go. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There you go. Okay. What about primer? Arrested Waffle said, hold on before that. What do you recommend for cutting sprue connections that are on detail spots? That's where you use those detail clippers from. So that's where I use like my Tamiya ones, stuff like that, because they're very precise and sharp. So there you go. So there you go. Let's see. Boop, boop, boo. What else? Oh, what about primer? There we go, Drew. Easy answer if you're looking for an acrylic primer is I like Monument's Dark Neutral Gray. I think it's just like a great primer. I think I used it for years and years and years. It's an airbrush primer. Nothing wrong with it. If you want a brush on primer, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Monument's brush on primer is really, really good. I wish it came in bigger bottles, but it's this like small bottle one, but it's incredibly good. It self-levels like a dream. I don't know. Look, I'm not in a place where I thought I'd ever recommend a brush on primer, and I'm not one to BS people. I hate brush on primers, but this thing rules. I just painted up like when I had my little master molder. And I was like, well, I don't feel like airbrushing. Boop, 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 boop. Did that, took a minute and a half, and it was good to go. So the black brush on primer from Monument's fantastic. If you don't mind the like absolute toxic kill you chemicals, then obviously the Cadillac is your Mr. Hobby, Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 black. I mean, you got to go get a respirator. You got to have like, you know, your Mr. Color leveling thinner for it. You gotta have lacquer thinner to clean your airbrush. But my God, the prime. When are we gonna start busting Deceptive chops? Yeah, I mean, like it's simply the best primer in the world. So there you go. It's incredible. Okay, and then basing supplies. Get yourself some basing supplies. Cork is an easy start. You can buy big sheets of it off of Amazon. You want like 1/4 inch or 8 inch thick stuff. That's great. You need yourself some like sand or dirt. You can usually find it in your yard. So there you go. That's a nice place to find that. But you can also just like go to like the little fairy garden center at your local craft store or whatever, and they'll have tons of different basing rocks. And that's right, David. R.I.P. Ironhide. That's right. Like a minute after he says that, he gets straight capped. Like Megatron is not messing around. Okay. We could just start now and I could do a dramatic retelling of the entire Transformers, the movie 1984, if you want, but I don't think that's going to be good content. CJ Ubustus with the super chat saying, always appreciate hobby advice. A lot of unknowns around the space. Thank you very much. Happy Big Wednesday. Thank you, CJ. Hope you're doing well. Paul says, pre-ordering your book tomorrow. Hey, awesome, man. The book is all turned in. Everything is done. All the pictures were taken. So yeah, all that's done. It's all good. Very exciting times. If you want some other paste, I like basing pastes and stuff like that, but most of the hobby ones are pretty expensive. And I go for your Liquitex Basic Acrylics Coarse Texture Medium. You can buy big bottles of the stuff like this. This is the 250 milliliter bottle. It's not that expensive. And it's like fine sand mud. It's meant for canvas painting when you want texture on the canvas, but because it's just like a medium. But it dries, you can drop little rocks and dirt into it and it will hold them in place because it'll dry like glue. And it's fantastic. But yeah, just like all that kind of stuff will work. There's lots of frankly stuff around your house that you can use for basing stuff. Old sticks, you dry them out. You can use old tea leaves. Again, just like bake them a little bit, dry them out. You're good to go. Or just like if they're already in packets, then they're fine. They're already dried and ready to go. Like they make great ground cover, that kind of thing. So, I mean, you know, most basing kind of supplies are a little fine. Like, there you go. Garage Hammer TV. I have a copy of Transformers that still has the swear word in it when they blow up Moonbase 2. Oh, Garage Hammer. So do I. Absolutely. Dave, I hope you're doing well. I have that. I have, God, I want to go upstairs and get it so bad. It's one of my most treasured possessions. I have the giant, Matrix of Leadership edition of like the DVDs of the entire series and the movie. Like the whole box, it's a box like this, and it opens like the Matrix of Leadership. Okay. And it has like all the commentary and everything else on it and that stuff. So there you go. So yeah, I truly love old Transformer stuff. And shockingly, I've never painted a Transformer. Well, anyways. Well, nothing we could do with that, I'm sure. Irish Relief, you did another book? No, I'm saying the Art of book on Kickstarter. That's what I'm saying. That book's all done and turned in. It will be coming on time as far as I know. So there you go. Like Dave has everything and I met his deadline. So as far as I know, he'll deliver everything on time. Stuxor with the super chat saying, hey Vince, I met you at the Gen Con painting contest and you never got to show me your entries because you had run into a young fan. Keep it wholesome, dog. Well, thank you very much, man. Yeah. That little kid was awesome. I do not remember his name. I'm sorry. He was like such a nice kid. He had entered with his dad. He was an amazing painter for being, I don't know, what is he, 8, 9, 10, something like that. He did such a wonderful job with his stuff. I'm always thrilled when I see the next generation of hobbyists coming up, and I know that they'll just surpass anything that I can do. Like I cannot wait to be eclipsed, as always, by the next generation. So there you go. So there you go. Okay. And it was great to meet you. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you my entries, but you know, they're around. Let's see here. Maybe I have, I can probably show you some pictures. This is just all whatever now. We're off the rails and it's fine. It's all good. Who cares? Oh, where's she at? There she is. Here we go. I'll open that up. This was one of them. Boop. My Buffy, Buffy the Vampire, Slayer. There we go. So I had her as my bust entry. And then I don't know if I have a new picture of the other one. The other thing was I'm just trying to look through here. Sorry, there's like a million pictures. Where's that? Oh, there it is. Okay. And then I had this one too. And then I had a tank. I don't think I have a picture of the tank, but I had a tank in there. But tank's fine. And then I had this guy, which I think I've shown before on the show. So there you go. Those are my entries. Yay. Okay. Cool. All right. So hobby done. There you go. And you're off to the races. If any other hobby stuff, just ask. I'm happy to talk about anything. Okay. That's only category 2. Category 2 is how do you start collecting AOS, right? I think I should just dedicate. Let me ask a question for everybody. I answer on that. Like, let's get some open dialogue here. Should we dedicate some more Warhammer Weekly shows to the hobby? That's a general question for everybody. If you're watching this later, by the way, put your answer in the comments. If you're watching now, just comment here live. How much do you find like hobby type Q&A or hobby focused shows valuable? I always worry about doing them because it's not like AOS centric, but I do like doing them. I just like talking the hobby. So if people find that interesting, we can do more hobby shows. I always just worry like that people don't want it. So, or that it's not appropriate, or they'll tune in and be like, I was trying to watch something about AOS. So at any rate, tell me what you think. Okay. At any rate, let's talk about actually getting started. So, my general vibe right now is that I think Spearhead is probably the most clean entry and on-ramp into the hobby because it's a manageable amount of figs in most of the boxes. And like the reality is that yeah, as long as there's a broader topic, yeah, I would assume those are for hobby cheating videos. Don't mind if there's nothing going on that week. Yeah, exactly, Shadeling. No, like I don't want to, I'm not trying to derail and make this like second hobby podcast, right? But if there's like something adjacent we can talk about with AOS and the hobby, I think that's probably a good guy. So that's fine. I would I'd love to do another Spearhead video. The problem is I need somebody on. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't play Spearhead. Okay. I just play regular AOS. So for those of you who are closer to Spearhead and are regularly playing it, you'll have to tell me if you think the game is still fun and like that they're doing a pretty good job managing it. I really don't have a take on this. Okay. My general feeling is like, yeah, I think that they're still a good entry point. It's a manageable number of figs. It's a good standalone game. It's interesting and compelling. It's relatively easy to learn. The rules are stripped down enough. And you can play the game and then build out by getting another Spearhead or more figs or something and build yourself to like 1,000 points and then go forward, right? So I think that's probably this is the on-ramp. I think this is better than something like Warcry or Underworlds or anything like that ever was. Neither of those really transitioned into anything. My one regret is like, I assume Warcry is just dead since we're still not talking about it at all. And that does make me sad because I think we do need a skirmish level game for AOS. And I'm sad to see Warcry go away. So there you go. So, okay. Spearhead is awesome 100%. Spearhead for my Spearhead for me is like Combat Patrol 40K, a discounted way to get models for an army. Often I buy a box or two when starting a new army. Okay. Kaz says absolute home run. Okay. 15 to 20 minutes is not overwhelming. It's why I started playing AOS, playing Spearhead. Nice. Spearhead's great. Okay. Cool. Very good. Hey, thank you, Jim Crimmins. I'm glad you like the army painting tier list. I want to hang out with the Poor Hammer guys again. Those guys are great. Like they're truly fantastic guys. But yeah, I really do want to see something smaller than Spearhead even. Like I want to see the 10 to 12 fig game or maybe like less than 10. I don't know. Like I want to see a small skirmish type game. But at any rate, Spearhead itself is a great game. Like by all I can see from the outside, a lot of it seems very popular. Seems like a lot of people like it. Seems like a good on-ramp. It's a great way to learn to play the loop. Yeah, that's what I felt too, right? It's like it still maintains like the primary loop and the core actions of the game. So it feels like a good on-ramp. Agree so hard. They have Necromunda campaign play and Kill Team competitive for 40K. Bring back Mordheim. Yeah, I'd support that. To me, Mordheim feels more like it belongs in the old world. Like I think it'd be a great old world game, especially since they're back in time. They're what, like 300 years after Mordheim in the current old world timeline, because Mordheim was like happened in like 1999, the year, like the same year it happened in reality, it happened in the game. Haha. Okay. But look, the reality is I take more time wherever, but Tomas is over there doing Trench Crusade now, so it's not like they're getting him back to write More Time 2.0. So Paul says start with Spearhead, join a slow grow league to get to 1,000, 1,500, and 2K. Yeah, I mean that sounds like a strategy to me. Here's my question. For those of you who play Spearhead, what do you think is the best starting Spearhead? Do you think they're all like, is there any that stand out as being either particularly good or particularly bad? Because again, I'm not close enough to know it. This is the one part of the show I'm sad Tom's not here. Ha, gotcha, Tom. Take that. Dunk on him. He was fine to be gone the rest of the time. But Tom has like every Spearhead. He makes it a mission to collect and paint every single Spearhead. I believe he's achieved his goal right now. I don't know if he has like all the new ones, but he has all the original ones plus most of the expansion ones. So Varnak says FEC feels really solid. Dances says the Spearhead forces are not all created equal for sure. Okay. Corbin, SBGL have 2 bangers. Okay. Odd Minis, SBGL, or Iron Jaws for easy good. Andre says Sylvaneth, small numbers, cool models. Okay. Hey, Tori, how you doing? Hope you're doing well also. Tori, you going to be at NashCon this weekend? All right. Wolf says the old Seraphon one was bad, too few units. Great box, though, model-wise. Okay. Avoid the original COS Spearhead. Zinch is rough. Okay. It's very good. The original COS one is very bad. Bread says the first OBR one is great, although you aren't using like any except the Cabalos. Fair enough. Okay. S2D. The Skaven Spearhead that involves the Clawlord on Gnaw Beast is horrendous. Okay, got it. Both of the S2D ones are great. Gloomspite's pretty good, has a bit of everything. Both Skaven are good. Khorne OG one is good also. I love the Ogre one before the nerf. Oh, okay, got it. Skaven, Stormcast, the basic armies. Original Khorne and Sylvaneth are very good, but most are pretty all right. Okay. There's that Apple Juicy says most are solid and good start, but there is a few stinkers. Okay. Cool. What about Nighthaunt? I heard there's a new box for them. Tacticat, there will be. Whenever they release the book, you get a new Spearhead as well. So like with the Battle Tome, you get new Spearhead. So like both FEC and Nighthaunt will get a new Spearhead. Yeah. Okay. Nigel votes for Spearhead Ogres. Low model count. Very easy to paint and play. Tori, that's a shame. You'll be missed. But looking forward to Havoc for sure. I'm gonna have some fun new Commander brews ready to go for Havoc for sure. I've got some stuff cooking, so I'll try to bring some spicy stuff. Okay. Harpsichord says, I think they're all very playable and the balance patches have improved the COS one, for example. Cool. All right, good. I'm glad they've kept up with it. That's very nice. The audio says the Skaven that has Storm Fiends is incredible because Storm Fiends are incredible. Audio, I'll tell you a fun story about that. So I got to play Spearhead before it was released, back when like AOS 4, before it launched, like a few months before the game came out in like March or something, I got to play Spearhead. It was like I went to an event and they brought a bunch of us in and said, here's this new thing we're doing. It's called Spearhead. They explained, and then they said like, okay, go ahead and go play. And I went and played against Paul from the Mortal Realms. He played, I think, the Gitz one, whatever the original Gitz one was. And I played Skaven, which was very funny because we just like a ton of models, right? And I didn't realize just how like small the board was and how mobile things would end up being. And so like I just kind of set up and I put my Storm Fiends like way too close. And basically they got charged like right away. And I lost my Storm Fiends like immediately. And they just died. They got chewed up. They took the unit down or whatever that they were fighting, but they were dead. Like they also died. Like there was, some one goblin left or something or whatever they got charged with. I don't know. Probably some packs of bounders or something, whatever comes in there. And so I had to play the whole game, basically like down my my Storm Fiends. And we still played it to where I only lost by 1 point. I was pretty proud of that play. Went back to the fundamentals, just movement and tactics. Like that's it. That's what we're doing now, using them rats. So it was a very fun learning game of Spearhead. So there you go. Okay. Spearhead is very fun, great for new players, as well as collecting a bunch of different spearheads is fun. Perfect size for people with limited time too. Yes, I mean, I think what it comes down to, Maxi has a nice point here. The 3+ save base spearheads, S2D, Ironjaw, Stormcast, tend to be the easiest to play and can be hard to play into due to generally low rend and mortal damage. Very nice. Yeah, you're not wrong, Jim. I learned that lesson very quickly. Yes. Because it didn't occur to me just how close we were setting up to each other, right? So that was a very funny experience. At any rate, yeah, so to me, this is just the answer. If you want to start collecting, honestly, I think it's the right way to go. Because if you end up deciding you want a 2,000 point army, it's pretty easy to build on whatever's in the spearhead. But there's been a bunch of times where I've seen people say or think they want an army that they think oh yeah, this is the army for me or something. Okay. And then they start painting that army. They go out and they buy 2,000 points of that army. And they start painting that army and they're like, oh, this isn't fun. And it's like, well, crap. It's too late now. You're in it to win it, right? So I think starting with a lower commitment, something like a spearhead, and making sure you actually like the models, you like the general playstyle, because the spearhead playstyles are usually echoes or homages or some kind of version of the big armies playstyle to some degree, at least. You like the models, you like the playstyle, you like the vibe. I think it's a good way to test, right? It lets you test your paint scheme. It lets you get your feet wet, and then you can build on it if you want. So I just think it's the right way to begin the game. And I think it was probably in my estimation, the first year of 4.0 and its launch was kind of a very mixed bag. The indices were, let's call it, highly dubious and mixed in their quality. They needed a lot of touch-ups to get them ready to go. I think the initial rules just felt like a switch on 3. I don't think we really got our good rules until we're now in the current season, where I do think we got the good changes. But I think Spearhead was the best thing that 4.0 brought us, by far. So there you go. Been loving the playstyle of Tomb Host Skellies for Gravelords, though, so totally agree. There you go. AOS armies that can use 2 spearheads can also be significantly cheaper to collect. Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. And so, some of them very much fit into that kind of thing. So, 100%. Okay. Yeah, it's a good point, Apple Juicy. It's nice that if you change your mind on an army, you still have the spearhead list you can play. Yep, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's just it's a win-win in my estimation. It gets you in, you get the experience. You're not overcommitting. You get the practice under you. You get the reps in. And worst case, you have a fun spearhead to play. Great. And it's not the right army for you, and you can go do something else. Tacticat says, I also heard AOS is better to get into because it's easier to proxy models in for casual games, since you can just grab a generic fantasy fig. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Boy, were proxies on display last weekend around the country with the new Khorne Army of Renown. The Deathbringer proxies were out in mass for sure. So, okay. All right. Last thing. Boop. Best starter armies. Let's talk about best starter armies. Okay. I think this is really important. Okay. So, if you want a deeper dive across the board, do go watch that Warhammer episode. If I think about it, I will link it down below. I'll try to link it after the show, because we talked about some of the things I'm going to talk about today. So the best starter armies, and here my main concern is around what's best for new hobbyists, what's the best play experience, what's best on the wallet, what's your best second army. Okay. So let's talk about best for new hobbyists in general. If it was me, Like, what armies do I think are the best for new hobbyists? So somebody who's not like they're getting into the hobby and AOS at the same time. Maybe they have a little bit of painting experience under their belt, but let's say like you've been painting 6 months or a year, you're still relatively new, and you're also getting into AOS. So you're a relatively young hobbyist. What's your best option? Okay. So, number one in my book, I don't know, number one, the top of the chart. Let's say it this way, because I don't know how they're actually. I don't know how they actually. I don't have a distinct ranking. We're not going to tier list this or whatever. So, just from the hobby perspective alone, of like painting ease, my list would be something like FEC. I think Flesh Eater Quartz right up there at the top. Little ghouly boys and all their little associated things are actually very quite simple to paint. It's a similar-ish army and body style. I did my FEC army in a weekend. I had my like ghouls down to 8 minutes per ghoul to paint. So that's nice and simple. No issue there. I think FEC is just a fun army to paint as well. So that's fun. Okay. Next one up would be ogres. Ogres are, again, very samey. Like, the difference between a glutton and an iron gut and all these things is not hard. They take very simple techniques very well. They take things like slap chopping very well. They take things like airbrushing very well. They take things like dry brushing very well. So, I think ogres are just simple, effective, easy. They're big. They have big, well-defined muscles. The figs are very simple. They don't have a lot of fiddly, biddly, boopy nonsense on them, which I like a lot. They're great. Okay. So definitely ogres way up there. Okay. If you're brand new. Another one. There's a good list, by the way. If I haven't said yours yet, don't worry. Might be coming. My next one would be Nurgle, right? So like, yeah, Chris H. I mean, ogres might get refreshed. Who knows? I don't know what pretty soon means. Who knows? Right. Okay. Next up would be Nurgle. Like, Nurgle is just easy. It's meant to be gross, so it gets very simple. Because you can you can make it rusty and crusty and dirty and filthy and cover it in like goo and stuff like that. Right? You can put Nurgle slime and rust and dirty down all over them and like a bunch of other things. So you can just make them look gross and messy, and it's pretty appropriate. So that's nice. That's a very easy, fast paint job, and you can be very proud of what you did. So that's cool. For a long time, Stormcast were on this list. I don't think they are anymore. I think like with most of the new Stormcast, like the Reclusians and stuff, those are actually pretty difficult paint jobs. They're pretty detailed. So they fell off my list. I think Seraphon is still on the list. Like, Bobby, that's just it. That's so funny you posted that just as I was talking about it. I think like the old Stormcast, if you're working in like a bunch of the old Stormcast, I think those are a lot easier than the new ones. Yeah. So at any rate, I think Seraphon are great. Like, again, they're lizards. It's not a lot going on there. They're very mono material. They take dry brushing, like really, really dry brushing and washing really, really well. So that's great. That's very nice. I think I would say, I've seen some people going for Soulblight or something like that. I would agree with you, except that you generally need like a lot of stuff. Like, yeah, zombies and skeletons and things like that is like, they're easy to paint. You're not wrong. Direwolves, very easy to paint, stuff like that. It's just there's a lot of them. It's my same issue with like Gloomspite if you're going to go into the goblins. Like, they're very simple. You can paint a ton of goblins pretty fast, but you have to paint a ton of goblins, right? Now, on Gloomspite, if you were going to be like heavy into trogs, I'd completely support that. Trolls are like low model count, very easy. They're basically just ogres again, right? But they take like dry brushing and washing and stuff like that really nicely. So, rock trolls and stone trolls and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's fine. So, in my estimation, Gloomspite's a real like 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're painting the little guys in some way, that's a high number. If you're painting the new Git mob, like those chariots are relatively complicated in everything that's going on there. Okay. But if you're doing trogs, breeze, absolute breeze. Great day, fast day, get your army done in a weekend. They look good, winning. Okay. All right. Other things that are like, I think pretty new, like new hobbyist friendly. With the rest of the armies. I'm just thinking real quick to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm looking around literally at my own armies. Oh yeah, of course, duh. I think that like Iron Jaws is actually pretty simple. You can do Iron Jaws really fast. Again, takes to like dry brushing, slap choppy type techniques really simple. It's relatively low model count. The pigs are probably your most complicated paint job, and they're not hard. Iron Jaws are like really easy to make look quite decent. I did a whole Iron Jaws army in like 4 days for Tyler sometime back. There's a video about it. Check it out if you want. And it's very simple. And then also just, Sons of Babmon. I mean, like, Sons have got to be one of the easiest hobby things you can do. Like, it's ridiculous. Now, it's expensive to go out and buy actual giant kits to get, like, the 4 giants and 3 baby giants or whatever you'd want for your list. But, they're certainly easy. And the neat part about Sons of Babmon is there's like a million knockoffs that you can go out and just buy like whiz kids, fire giants and stuff. And they're about the same size or storm giants. And guess what? Yay, those are like $15, $20. So it's not like the hardest thing in the world. Latin pigs are definitely not the most complicated build. Yes, the little ear attachment is silly, but pigs are otherwise very simple. Come on now. Have you ever built Blissbarb Seekers? Have you ever built Spirit Hosts for Night Haunt? Come on, there are much more complicated builds. Let's not even get into old world stuff. Like, then we're really off the charts. That new, like, statue that's also a replacement for Suns, because they're exactly the same size. Like, exactly the same size. That thing's 148 pieces. The calf alone on that guy is 9 pieces. 9 for the calf. Not the leg. Not the knee. The calf is 9 pieces. That's too many pieces. A calf should not be 9 pieces. So at any rate, we're not even going to talk old world armies, but at any rate, be careful on using those big stone giants as replacements if you think it's going to be an easy time. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, sure. Like DM talking about like, Custodes, sure, exactly. Yes, he said Spirit Hosts triggered. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So at any rate, I think that's probably my list of like new hobbyist friendly. All that stuff's pretty easy. Everything else is either like super high model count or has a lot of fiddly and complex bits or things like that. Night Haunt, maybe. I'd probably, I'm going to back up. I'll say Night Haunt can also go in there. Night Haunt are just ghosts on sheets. Like, there's a couple of annoying units, but like the vast majority of your army is super fast. It's another weekend army. So there you go. So I'll let the ghosts get in as well. I think they're on the list. Okay. Bobby 3000. Why are they making models like that to scare off recasters? I doubt it. I have no idea, Bobby. I couldn't tell you. The sculptors do the slicing. So it has to do with whatever the preferences and tastes are of the sculptors within that studio. And Specialist Design Studio just likes to slice things into smaller pieces for whatever reasons. So there you go. Okay. All right. But then we have the best play experience for new players. What's the best play experience? That's a different question. Okay, that's not hobby. These are different. So yeah, sure. Cause absolutely. Most of the Night Haunt aren't too bad to build. Spirit Hosts are a nightmare, but you don't really use them. So who cares? Like, most of the ghosts aren't bad. They're pretty straightforward. All right, when it comes to actual play experience, in my estimation, you want something that's forgiving. So I think like S2D, like Slaves to Darkness, is a great play experience for new players. I think they're pretty easy to play. I think Night Hunt falls in there. They're not actually that hard, although we haven't reviewed the new book yet. Maybe my opinions will completely shift in a couple weeks when we do our week or whatever when we do the Night Hunt book. Again, I don't know which one we're doing first. I think that like Ironjaws is a great new player army. I think Ogres is a great new player army. Both of them play very much the fundamentals. And they're fine. They're all like relatively good saves. They want to just, kind of move forward and hit, that kind of stuff. I agree with you. Trogs, I think, is actually a pretty, again, the boy is Gloomspite gets a tale of two cities. Because again, if you're doing like heavy goblin or Git mob, it's a very complicated army to play. If you're doing Trogs, much more forgiving, right? So like there's sort of an element of like how much does the army rely on fiddly tricks and high skill expression to even be played? Like how high is the skill floor? Okay. I think there's a version of Stormcast that's that, although it's very hard to list build with them. That's the problem. A new player is just going to like not make a good list. They're going to put a bunch of nonsense in there. Because the book has too much garbage even after the cut. Right. But there are Stormcast lists. If you have a friend who can get you lists or you can net list, then you can, Stormcast can be a pretty good play experience. I think that like, in general, current modern, the current iteration of Seraphon is honestly not that bad of a play experience. They can lean more into, like the kind of smooth brain monster play and have fun. They're not that hard. Is recommending Trogs a good idea, even though they are 15% of the book? Well, that's just it, Alex. I mean, they are a thing you can do. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, it's a big book. There's 5 different armies at least in there. That's why I said Gits is really complicated, man. But there are people who just like the trolls and like playing an all troll army. And if that really grabs you, you're going to be very limited in what you can do. And, you're going to be very subject to the whims of fate. But it can be a very fun play experience. There's people who just love it. So, I mean, just know what you're getting into, right? Is Maggot-Kin a good starter army? So, play experience-wise, I think it's actually okay. I'm not going to rate it bad. I'm not going to rate it good, right? Yeah, I think you're not wrong, David Canty. Like, effectively, the more Timmy-ish kind of the army is, kind of the better it is for your new player experience. Because you don't have to learn a bunch of fiddly, weird rules. And you don't have to rely on, like, very precise skill expression and choice points and stuff like that, right? So, something like IDK, or Skaven, or Slanesh, or Tzeentch, these are all bad. Like, they're in the bad category. Because they rely on, like, very complicated skill expression to properly play, right? Whereas you're just much more forgiving with some other armies. I think FEC can be a fun, newer player experience. A little more complicated, but not crazy. Like, it's fine. There's a version of it I think is quite fun and relatively straightforward to understand. It's a bad painting experience, but like there's probably a version of Daughters of Cain that's like at least okay. There we go. Okay. Wouldn't be terrible. How would you rank Sylvaneth? Bad. Bad for a new player experience. Very bad. Sylvaneth is like very complicated to play. It has a lot of like very fiddly things that need to occur. The way you place woods, the way you move your troops around, what units hit what, when, how, where, what you're using. It is fiddly the army. But it's the same thing with like KO or IDK or all of those things, right? Like, no freaking way I would ever recommend those. Not in a million years. right? KO isn't like, even in its current incarnation, it's not like the most complicated thing in the world, but it's certainly more complicated than basically almost every other army, right? It's like I would definitely rate it in the bad place. Thoughts on Soulblight Gravelords? I think there's probably a couple of the versions of the army that are like, these all occupy a spectrum. Okay. So like, because there's different ways to build all these armies, right? And some of them are going to be more new player friendly than others. And I think Soulblight, its spectrum probably runs from like okay to bad. And I say that because like a great Soulblight player is really doing a lot of very complicated things with how they're like trading their units, sacrificing units at a certain point in time, recalling them in the opponent's turn, using their pieces in very clever ways. And like that to get the most out of them, they have a very high skill ceiling. The floor, though, can be somewhat low, especially if you have like a Barrow Knight heavy army with like some skeletons and zombies or something, or dire wolves, that kind of thing. It's not terrible. So I'd say like at the top, it's probably okay. You're gonna have a perfectly fine time. And then but they can go down from there depending on it. Arrested at Waffle House. Complicated. I tap 2 swamps and cast 10 Barrow Knights. Yeah, you're not wrong. Tacticat. Is a horde army harder to pilot for a new player than an elite army? No, I don't think so by default. I mean, it's more stuff to move around. Like that, it's physically more time consuming, right? But like, I think there are probably horde armies that are perfectly acceptable for newer type players. Again, like FEC, I think has a pretty straightforward play style, so I don't think it's bad. I think it's probably the bottom of good, but it's there, and that can be quite hordy. Doesn't have to be, but it can be. So yeah, like there you go. Nurgle is probably again bottom of good to okay, just because they have some fiddly-ish mechanics like disease tracking and stuff like that. But they're a very forgiving army. It's pretty tough. Like you're slow. That's my only issue. So you really have to kind of to do really well with Nurgle. You've got to always be like thinking ahead. Like where are my troops going to move when? You can't just react and suddenly shoot 20 inches across the board, which a lot of armies can do. It's not really in the cards for Nurgle, right? So there you go. Tony's Lab said, coming from playing Eldar in 40k, would LRL or Skaven be up my alley? Tony, I have to admit, I don't know how current Eldar play in 40k. The last time I played against Eldar in 40k was in 3rd edition, so my reference points may be a bit off. But just kind of what I understand about the army through osmosis, I honestly think probably Skaven is going to be the closer match to it than what LRL is. That's just my feel of the thing. I think if you like that kind of a little more nuanced, movement-based, tactical, use the right pieces to open the right, use the right tools for the right job play experience, and, be very focused on mobility and have the right amount of shooting mixed in where you can really can open things if you get your shots lined up correct and stuff like that, then yeah, that's probably Skaven. That's how Skaven plays. So that's my read on it. Again, not actually having seen Eldar ever play in 10th edition. So I'll leave that to others in the chat whether or not they agree with me. So there you go. Hades, for a beginner that loves cavalry, what would you suggest? Oh, what a good question. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, if it's a very toolbox mobile army, Skaven all the way, 100%. LRL is often actually quite slow. It depends on the build. Again, there are a couple builds that are quite fast and mobile, but Skaven is just like movement city. I shared a list some weeks back, Tony, that had where I can move 7 times in my opponent's turn. Right? If you're moving 7 times in your opponent's turn, you're a very mobile army. So there you go. Okay. Now, cav heavy armies. Slaves to Darkness for sure. It's very friendly to new players. You got Chaos Knights, you got Varangard. They both rule. They're both fun. Not fast paint jobs. No. But you don't need a lot of them. 10 Chaos Knights is 500 points or something. So there you go. That's pretty good. Unusual cavalry, bounders in Gits could be fun. Not too complicated. Reasonably, like probably in the okay category, like as long as the player was willing to be a little more brave, like bounders could be fun. So that kind of element, again, it's unusual cavalry, but I mean, goblins on squigs is still cavalry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oof, that painting though. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like I said, it's trim for days. It's not an easy paint job. Who else? Who else would I pick here that really has like a good, like is a fun cavalry experience in the current edition? Seraphon, if you went heavy Agrodon Lancers, they don't have a lot of cavalry, but Agrodon Lancers are real. They have those and the little skinky riders as well. And both their cav units are really good. So that's something. Like, again, it's only like 2 units, but they're both very good. All pig Iron Jaws, especially now that you've got the new soggy pigs. So you got big pigs and little pigs. You can run the actual Army of Renown for pigs. So that's pretty good. So yeah, something like that. Those are probably the ones I would pick. Thinking off the top of my head. Like there's a very, like Slaanesh can actually put a really, really respectable cavalry force on the table. Because they have lots of really good cavalry units. Like Hellstriders are good, Seekers are good, Slickblade Seekers are good, Blitzbarb Seekers are good. You can do an all cavalry, Slaanesh army really, really easily and have it be quite competitive and interesting. But that is not new player friendly at all. At all. Not even a little. It's an extremely new player unfriendly thing. Like it'd be almost at the bottom of bad for a new player. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Brian, hey Vince, do you only play AOS or fantasy games in general? I find that I only have time to dedicate to one genre of miniatures these days. Yeah, I only basically play fantasy. Like I play AOS and Old World, and then obviously all the games that Uncle Adam and I make. Uncle Adam and I make a lot of games. So I mean, I'm constantly like making those games and playtesting those games and stuff like that. So I mean, my brain always has to be containing multiple games. But like for games that other people besides me make, when it comes to war games, yeah, basically Old World and AOS. So, and when I play Old World, I stick to my Tomb Kings and Bretonnians because there's no way I can play either of those in AOS, and I still have my huge Tomb Kings and Bretonnian armies on square bases. So, never debased them. They're still over there. They're not debased. They are based Tomb Kings and based Bretonnians. So there you go. Jesse, what about Warcry? I'm not sure it exists anymore, Jesse. That's the issue. We really don't know. Like, I think it might be dead. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You still play Warcry forever and ever. I just mean that, like, I don't think they're doing anything with it. They haven't officially announced it's dead, but they haven't mentioned it or talked about it for, like, a year and a half. It's been a while. So, doesn't feel like a good sign, is what I'll say. Arrested at Waffle House, the comedy option, all Doom Wheels and Doom Flayers. Well, obviously you'd lead it with the rat on a rat arrested at Waffle House, the little Claw Lord on Brood Terror or whatever he is, Brood something, whatever his little weird rat is. The last thing I have to paint from that from the Scaventide box. I've never bothered to paint him. I've painted like 2 Scaventide boxes worth of most of the stuff in that box, but I haven't done any of that Brood guy because, like, who cares? They did say Chaos Dwarves are getting Warcry rules. Okay, that's cool. All right, well that's something. That's something. I'll give it. That is something. Okay. So there you go. Yes. Warcry shouldn't have left the 8 points, in my opinion. That game has a weird history and a weird journey. Yeah, I can't wait for like 10 years from now when we get like a nice insider look back on this. Like I want somebody to leave the studio and then like their NDA expires and I'd love to hear the inside story of like what the heck happened with Warcry. Like they're doing all the interviews with like the second and third edition people now, like Andy Chambers and all those guys when they're talking about, you know, making the and stuff back in the day, which is like fascinating interviews. I love hearing that stuff. Okay, let's do best on the wallet. Here's a simple answer for best on the wallet. Anything that's been around for a long time and you can get secondhand and or that has like an abundance of 3D prints. That's it. It's a simple answer. The way that GW prices their kits is very simple. It seems nonsensical at first, but it's actually very logical from their perspective. Okay. GW prices their kits so that for you to build a 2,000 point army costs X amount of dollars. So like whether it's 5 guys in a kit or 3 guys in a kit or 10 guys in a kit and all 3 of those somehow cost $65, right? Has nothing to do with the amount of plastic and everything to do with like how much are these guys taking up in your army and buying the different averages. How do you get to spending X dollars on an army? That's what they care about, right? Chadrick Vaughn with a super chat. How bad of an idea is starting with a list of 11 Deathmasters, a Deceiver, a Soggy Bell, and Nurgle's Gift? It is a terrible idea. Because any kind of like spam thing like that is never a place you should start. That list will get broken in some way. Like it just will. And then you will have 10 extra Deathmasters you don't need. Now, if you're just looking for the memes and fun, you're using like 3D print Deathmasters and it costs you basically nothing, then yeah, go nuts. Have a good time. Okay? Like, that's fine. But if you're going out and buying like 11 actual Deathmasters, like the thing that comes in the clam pack from Games Workshop, that is a terrible investment. Okay? Is that true, though, Vince, when Warcry units are like 120 points for a $70 file? Don't count Warcry stuff in there, because they don't. Okay? They're talking like in the main line, the way they price the boxes is they kind of like roughly total up what they think you're going to need for an army. They're not sitting there making lists in combinations. They're saying like an average army is probably like 10 of these and 20 of these and a unit of 3 of these and stuff like that. They say, okay, that gets us to like $800, for example, or something, right? Which is probably, I think, where they pin their army at, something like that. They want you to, like, if you're going to buy a new in-box army, they want you spending between $800 and $1,000. Something like that. Retail prices vary, blah, blah, blah. Discounts from stores and stuff that do 20% off and all of that, right? So, like, that's how they're thinking about it, okay? So like unless there's like a weird exception, the weird exceptions here are armies that can be like built, the majority of it out of like 2 spearheads, right? So if you've got a spearhead where every model in the box is viable to repeat again, or like all but one hero or something is viable to repeat again, and that actually is like, and they're both how you would actually build your list, then the army gets cheaper. And there are some spearheads like that. Okay. And so that kind of stuff is like a really good way to save money. So if you happen to be in an army where like you look at the thing and you're like, well, I want 2 of everything that's in this spearhead, and that's like 1,200 points or 1,300 points or something, fantastic. Then that's a great way to go. That is probably like the one exception of where you can like buy at retail and end up with like good cost savings. The other exception is obviously the like Christmas FOMO boxes, the like Battle Force boxes they put out. Again, if it has all the right models in it, then those like picking up 2 of those. Like again, the dream is when you get one where like all the units are useful and all the units are useful twice. Which we have had some Battle Force boxes come out in the past years that are like that. And if that occurs, like those are an instant pickup because you're then talking about usually getting to almost the whole army off of 2 of those boxes. So when they come up, like when the double spearhead or the double Christmas holiday FOMO boxes, Battle Force boxes, whatever they call them now, come up. Those are how you cheat that. But like ultimately, the best sort of like the weirder the army, or the less available 3D prints and or secondhand stuff on like eBay and that kind of thing, the more expensive the army is going to be. So like the absolute most expensive, sorry, I'm putting big quotes on that, but most expensive and cheapest army is somehow simultaneously like Sons of Batma, right? Because if you go buy them all retail, you want like 5 different Mega Gargants to have one of each option and a box of the little babies. That's like $1,200 or $1,100, something like that. But you can also just head over to your store and buy like some big giant WizKids kits, like I mentioned earlier, and those are like $20 a piece. Or get 3D prints because there's like a million 3D prints out there of those giants. And then you're probably putting together the whole army for like $100. So it can both be true, right? Old armies like Skaven and Stormcast, things that have showed up in starter boxes are often cheaper as well. Anything you can get in a starter box. So Stormcast, or like Cruel Boys, Skaven, Nighthaunt, probably still Khorne to some degree. Like a lot of that stuff, if those units are viable at that point in time, again, anything that was in a starter box is generally going to be cheap because you can usually find a lot of that stuff there. So yeah, there you go. Bobby 3000 with the super chat. Why does AOS force buying reinforced 2 units? Well, it does less now. I will say, Bobby, that like in the current GHB, I reinforce a lot less units. Not nothing. Like, I mean, in the list that I talked about earlier, I had 2 reinforced units of Rat Ogres because I just think like most 3-pack units, most, not all, want to be reinforced. But the current edition is a lot more MSU than it is, like the current season, I should say, is a lot more MSU. So you can like, you can get away with single boxes a lot more. Like I think in the current season, things like a bunch of 5 cavalry is much more viable than in the past, in the previous season where it was like 10 cavalry or nothing. So I think it's getting a lot better. I think it really depends. If you're talking about like elite monstrous infantry where they come like 3 in a box, you're almost always reinforcing them. Like Kroiger, Rat Ogres, stuff like that. Again, not every time. There's plenty of like, there's plenty of counter examples. What is it? Vargeist or whatever. You usually run in 3s. So, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, there you go. Hades, Vince, I found a Tempest Eye box for 200 AUD. Should I get it? I love all the models in that box. Well, I think you just answered your own question. If you love all the models in that box, 200 is actually like 200 Australian for that. That's a good deal. I'm looking up Tempest Eye box real quick just to make sure I understand what's in that thing. Okay, what does this thing have in it? Let's see. Yeah, this is like, I remember these battle forces. So this has like 6 of the old Stormcast Flappy Boys. What else is in here? The Duerden King guy. 10 Shooter Dwarves, 10 Iron Breakers. Was that a Lord Veritant? Is that what that is? And then a Gyrocopter. I mean, the Gyrocopter's pretty worthless. All the dwarves are fine. They're all perfectly useful. I mean, you can't use all that stuff really in a single army anymore. Although I don't remember if the little Stormcast boys fit into a regiment or somewhere. They probably do. Yeah, it's a great deal. I like all those units. I loved Tempest Eye. I built a whole Tempest Eye army and thought it was amazing. So shame you can't use all that stuff together anymore in the same way. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like anything that showed up in a starter box, had a good Battle Force box that comes out at Christmas, like one of the FOMO boxes, or can be double reinforced spearheads. Those are your best bet. So the copter is a multi-kit. You can make the gyrocopter or the gyro bomber, but I don't think either of them are any good. So okay. But there you go. Bobby, no problem. Yeah, I think like current season, you really do tend to reinforce less. That's not to say none. You generally have like 1 or 2 reinforced units. That's the current season. And then everything else is not reinforced. So there you go. Okay. Chicago Hobby Hero, the Seraphon Christmas box with the old spearhead and a Scarvet on Agradon is 2,000 points exactly. You love to see it. Like, that's what I'm talking about. When you can find that combo, that kind of thing, that's great. Otherwise, just hunt for like secondhand or 3D print or something like that. Like stuff like OBR is usually pretty expensive to get into. It's not a ton of like other producers out there making like, you know, sort of their own versions of the thing. There's a million knockoff Skaven in the world and 3D prints and stuff like that. So sure. Best second army. I think the second army option is pretty wide. I think basically everything in that okay tier, so Doc, Soulblight, all of that kind of stuff, everything that's in that okay tier, I think that's where that opens up wide, right? And you can dip into like the top of bad if you're willing, right? Which I think is where like the Hellsmiths will fall. I think they'll be at basically the top of bad for like new players. I just think they look really complicated for what they are. Yeah, but like, I think your second army, you just look down a tier, and then I think it opens up the doors to all of that stuff. That's my take on it. So there you go. The one you want to paint. Boy, that's a good example. Yeah, I mean, hopefully for your second army, you've got the confidence under your belt, and you can, you know, there you go. Are there armies that can be allied together or share units? Yeah, sort of. Like there are regiments of renown, which are detailed, dedicated things. Like it's 10 of this and 1 of this and 5 of this or something. And those can be put into cross faction units, usually across anybody in the Grand Alliance. There's a couple that can work even across bigger than that. But like, you know, so they'll be like all the armies have one. They have 2 of them actually now. Anytime a battle tome comes out, you have 2 of them. And those regiments can go into like any other force from the Grand Alliance. So like, you know, you have a Pigwin in Ironjaws and it can go into like Giants or Gits or stuff like that, right? Alex says Tzeentch is my second army after I started with S2D for AOS. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Okay, are the Chorf rules out? No, God, no. No, I'm saying off painting alone, cool. That was all. Just off painting. Okay. So yes. So yeah, you can do that kind of ally thing, but it's very restricted. You're taking like an exact group of things. It's like this and this and this in this exact number. And it costs some amount of points. All right, folks. That's it. That's what I got. That's my advice for starting out. What did I miss? I'll let you type in another question or two here while I'm wrapping up. We'll see if anybody else has any other final questions. What I'll say is thank you so much, everybody who super chatted today. Hey, don't forget to hit like. A little bit of a marathon show with me just sitting here talking to all of you, but it was great. I loved having all this interaction. Thank you so much for everybody for being active, engaged, giving me lots of feedback and thoughts. Really appreciate it. It's been wonderful. Everybody give Tom a little wish. Chadrick Vaughn, okay, who says, I meant from a gameplay perspective. Let me go back to your original comment. Sorry. Oh, from a gameplay perspective? Got it. It's built. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, Chadrick. From a gameplay perspective, it's probably a very tough starting army, is my honest answer. Because Skaven itself is very fiddly. And that's like a very, very fiddly, movie, tricky, tactical army. I guess it depends on what your experience is with other war games. If you've played other war games before and have other experience with that, like, you know, if you played 40K or Infinity or something like that before or whatever, then you'll be fine. If this is like truly, truly your newest experience, like this is the first time you're playing war games, it's going to be a learning curve. It's not impossible. Just set yourself up for a learning curve. So there you go. That's what I'd say. Okay. Uber Proner says, if someone is undecided between 2 factions where for one, he loves the models but hates the playstyle, and the other, he hates the models but loves the playstyle, which would you recommend? The one where you love the models. No question. Easy answer. The rules will change. Period. If you love the models, you'll love the army forever. It's that easy. I have played Skaven for almost 30 years now. Do you know how many different rule sets I've had for those Skaven? What's good? What's bad? What's playable? What's not? I can't even count. But because I love the models, they've been with me the whole time, and I've never never had a regret, right? There you go. So, all right. So thank you, everybody. I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate all the great questions and chats and stuff like that. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out. Don't forget to check out the newest episodes of Snarlcast, the indie wargaming podcast with Uncle Adam, and Fireball the Gazebo, my RPG podcast with Ninjon. Both are linked down below. If you want to support the channel, hit those links down there. If you're picking up some hobby supplies like we talked about earlier, there's my affiliate links down there. When you're picking stuff up from Amazon or Michigan Toy Soldier or anywhere else you need to do paints or whatever, it's all down there. It doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, it usually saves you money. It really does help the channel a lot. So thank you so much. I'm losing my voice. I've been talking straight for 2 hours. And of course, there's our Patreon. So yeah, but thank you so much, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday.